Okay, question number 4. Do you want to have any more baby bats? Why, yes, we do, and we're gonna start right now. Come here, lover boy. Just kidding. Bloopers.
I'm gonna leave that in.
No, the like it goes to the bloopers. Anyway. Greetings and salutations, my name is Oracult and welcome to my sanctuary. For those of you new here, I hope you like this video. Check out some of my other videos. I'll put some playlists down below and also floating around. And I hope you stick around and subscribe and do some comments. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for all your support, and I hope you keep those comments coming as well. So today what we'll be doing is the Goth Mum Tag, which is a pretty cool video to do. If you haven't seen any of these before, I have watched quite a few of them. I think Heavy Metal Mama did one, Riri Phillips did one, Evelyn Demori did one, so I thought, well, that's cool, you know, I'm qualified now, I can do one. So anyway, on with the video, and it has preset questions, so I'll read those out first and then I'll answer them. Question number 1. Do you force your kids to wear black? No, we don't, and we don't really force them to wear anything. We did buy a few sort of band t-shirts when we come across them and go, oh look, it's, you know, Metallica or AC/DC or something like that. I think we had a Sweet Child of Mine, I think, sweatshirt when they were like super little as well, which is also really cute, but I don't think we've got like a lot of them, and some of them were not even black, so nah, we don't really force them, and they do have color preferences. I think our older one quite likes blue, and the little one who's 4 likes red, so we don't really force them on anything, but yeah, so they can wear whatever they want. Question number 2. Do you force your kids to listen to metal or rock and roll? That's an interesting question, considering this is a Goth Mum Tag. But anyway, let's assume it's, you know, metal, goth, whatever. Well, we don't force them, but we listen to it in the car. Like, I think it does have a bit of an influence of what you listen to with your parents in the car. Like, for example, when we drove around with my parents, we listened to a lot of, well, back in the 80s, it was obviously a lot of 80s. So, I love Tina Turner. Like, I love Tina Turner, I love Billy Joel. I like all that sort of stuff that played at the time, including, you know, Guns N' Roses, Alice Cooper, everything that played in that period of the 80s, except maybe, I don't know, Genesis. I'm not a huge fan. But there's like periods in time where we drove around with my parents, and there was periods in time we drove around and listened to like a shit ton of Queen, and that obviously has an impact on me. And my mother listened to a lot of classical music, and still I sometimes listen to things and I'm surprised to know what they are, and I can sometimes guess composers, which is quite good, because, you know, it's not something that came out of nowhere. Obviously that had an influence. And sometimes we listen to kid songs just to, you know, keep them occupied. So yeah, we don't necessarily make them, but if they're riding around in the car with us, we do listen to a lot of metal. If it's really loud, they complain about it, so we don't necessarily do that, but yeah, I mean, in that sense, you know, our car, our rules kind of thing, but in general, no. What is my favorite alternative clothing brand for my kids? I don't actually have one. I don't think there's any alternative brand that I know of that would do necessarily stuff for kids. Like, Killstar doesn't have it. I think Black Craft does, but I'm not like a huge fan of Black Craft. I think that's a little too extreme. I don't even wear it myself, and I don't know. I think the only thing we got from an alternative brand, like definitely alternative brand for a child, was when we went to there was this big convention for like sci-fi and everything in New Zealand called Armageddon, and they usually had like stalls of stuff, and they had a few sort of gothy-ish things, and one of them was selling sourpuss bags, and they had the Sourpuss nappy bag, which, I kid you not, was black and purple and had, you know, sparkly, like a sparkly inner fold-out thing to change your child on, and it was purple and sparkly. I just couldn't believe it. We already had our second son by then, and he was still a baby. And with the first son, we used this really stupid, ugly sort of bag thing. But we just bought the cheapest one, because they're all pretty ugly. And then we saw this, I was like, oh, I'm getting this, I don't care how much it is, and I got it. And then we used it like throughout his entire sort of babydom. And then one time, I actually took that inner layer thing and I washed it after using it somewhere, but then I put it somewhere to dry in the sun and forgot about it, and then I couldn't find it. I was hysterical. I was literally hysterical. I thought I lost it. It was so beautiful. It was ridiculous, this stupid, you know, changing mat thing, but it was purple and sparkly, and you know, and the husband was seriously trying to look up where we can get another one of those, and then I found it. I was like, oh god, that was just, yeah, that was pretty scary at the time. I don't know why, but it was just, it's such a beautiful bag. I just loved it so much. But in terms of clothes or anything like that, I don't think there's like anything that I know of, but if you know any sort of anything like that, can you comment down below please, because I'd like to get kids something, but it's just not too like super radical, because you know, I don't know, I think they should, you know, figure out if they like it or not themselves, and not to put anything sort of too much like that on them at the time. But that's just me. Do you want to have any more baby bats? Well, we are not quite sure about that. We thought about it, we talked about it, but with everything happening all the time in our lives, it's kind of really hard to time. Then again, I'm always of the mind frame that if you sit there and wait for things, they're just not gonna happen. Because it's... nothing ever happens when you're ready for these things. I don't like arguments like, oh, I'm not ready for this, I'm not ready for that, I'm too scared to do this, I'm too scared to do that. I did that for a very long time and it doesn't really pay off. So, you know, if we suddenly decide nothing is gonna really stop us, it's just we haven't really decided. But we will decide very soon, because we have two boys, we're missing a girl, I have no one to dress up, and yeah, I'm quite upset when I go into stores and there's all this cool purple floaty sort of things and I have no one to put that on. But then again, we could always have another boy, and that will be a tremendous disaster, because we'll have 3 little goblins. I mean, we're probably gonna end up with 3 little goblins, whatever we end up with, girl or boy, but yeah. Maybe. But I am 42, so we shall see. Question number 5. Have you, or have your children, ever experienced any negativity due to the way that I dress? Well, it should be that you dress, but okay. Not really. Yet. We'll see. No. Can't really think of anything. But we were in New Zealand for quite some time, and I think it's now more unusual not to have tattoos than to have tattoos. And it's getting quite a bit like that here as well, so I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I think people are generally these days not as shocked, and so far we've had like literally one case. Well, there are cases when people kind of look at us, but only the one case where someone literally saw my husband with like his sleeveless Killstar shirt with the tattoos, and it was like an elderly lady, and she was like far away, and then she came closer and she went, oh my god, and I thought, oh, what happened? And then I realized the tattoos just freaked her out. So I'm not quite sure, you know, why specifically it freaked her out, but there's a lot of people with like even more tattoos these days. But yeah, there's always people who, you know, like or don't like something. I guess it will happen sooner or later. Okay, and we're up to question number 6. Do you hope that your kids will follow in your stylistic footsteps when they come of age? I don't particularly care if they would or won't. really. It's not that important to me. I think it's more important that, you know, they're themselves, and I mean that in like the most sincere way, because not a lot of people know who the hell they are. It takes a while to figure that out. So they will probably go through God knows what and experimentation and all that sort of thing. And I just want them not to be assholes and not to lie to themselves and just be themselves, really. That's the hope that I have. I mean, preferably they'll have some similar interests to us so we can do stuff together. That would be good, because, you know, if they're gonna go to, say, a I don't know, a country hip-hop concert, we're not going. Like, we're just not, unless they pay us. And number 7. To quote Eric Draven from The Crow, "Mother is the name of God on the lips and hearts of all children. Do you think it's important to be a positive, strong role model for your children?" Yes, I do, but am I? That's a very good question. I can be a very strong role model. I don't know about positive. Positivity is not really something that I'm really good at. I mean, I try. I will let the husband be the positive one. How about that? We try. We really do. We don't always succeed. 8, and this is a good one. What do your children think about the way that you dress? Well, sometimes they think it's really pretty, and sometimes they kind of look at me and go, But it's a better reaction than my mother's reaction, so sometimes before I film something, I go up to my mother, show her my makeup or something, and she goes, "Oh my god." I said, "Yes, exactly, that's the reaction I'm going for, it's perfect." Question number 9. Have your children ever felt, or do you ever feel like you embarrass your children? Probably, but not because of the way I dress. It's probably more because I tend to yell at them, but that's because they don't listen. You can yell out their name 57 times after just saying it quietly at first, and they still don't hear you. That's probably highly embarrassing to everyone involved, including us, but that's just the way it is. And the last question. As a goth mother in the subculture community, can you offer any advice to other mothers out there? Not really, apart from the fact that, you know, whatever you do and however you dress, it doesn't really matter. There will always be people who criticize you for something. So, if it's not the way you dress, or it's not your makeup, it will be something else. It will be the way you do something, what your child wears, what your child doesn't wear, what, you know, you take your kids to, what activities, that kind of thing. So, at the end of the day, there will always be people who will be assholes to you for some reason. It doesn't matter that, you know, you're in a subculture, you're not in a subculture. They will always find an excuse not to like you. And there's just people like that, so, you know, just be yourself, hope for the best, and don't lie. Not to mention, stay very, very spooky, happy, and if you're happy, I'm sure your kids will too. That was the 10 questions from the Goth Mum Tag. I hope you enjoyed this video and found out a lot about, you know, nothing really, but but what I think about mothering as such, and I hope you have a pleasant time of day wherever you are, and greetings and salutations to you.